The Knicks suffered a 21-point loss to the Cavs at home last night. Afterward, Knicks GM Scott Perry and President Steve Mills held a press conference, which, guys, that is very unusual. We're going to play that, followed by Coach Fizz talking at practice today.
Obviously, Scott and I are not happy with where we are right now. We think the team's not performing to the level that we anticipated or we expected it to perform at, and it's something that we think we collectively have to do a better job of delivering the product on the floor that we said we would do at the start of this season. We still believe in our coaching staff. We believe in the plan that Scott and I put together and the players that we've assembled, but we also have to acknowledge that we haven't played at the level we expected to play at. We haven't played we've seen glimpses of how we can play as a team when everything comes together.
I got a 2.5-year contract. That's my insurance. You know, that's our business. The insurance is about that I have a contract.
Fizz there in part reacting to a story from our Adrian Wojnarowski and Malika Andrews saying that Steve Mills, quote, has started to lay the internal groundwork for Coach Fizdale's eventual dismissal, which is very big. Welcome to the Jump, Woj. And I want to give everyone a heads up. Woj also very hard working the Gordon Hayward story. So if you see him tweet in real time here, that's probably what that is, and that's lucky too. Woj, tell us a little bit, though, about this Knicks story. How does that jibe sort of with what you've been told, that Fizz is out there this morning saying he has assurances, he's got a contract, he's had Perry supportive behind him?
Well, David Fizdale is going to be a company guy. He learned that in Miami. You back management regardless of what might have happened the previous night in a news conference. But there's no question. You remember, Steve Mills has survived several coaching hirings and dismissals in New York. His overall record is well under 500, 150 games plus, I believe. And so he is consistently got the ear of owner Jim Dolan, and what he said publicly is very consistent with what he's saying privately, which is they have put together a good team for David Fizdale. This team should be winning. Now, that is counter to, I think, a lot of the conventional wisdom around the NBA. Other executives, coaches in the league were stunned by that news conference, the timing of it, the tone of it. While your coach is in the locker room talking to the team to march in and do that. It was unusual.
Yeah, I mean, that was, to me, one of the also really super interesting parts of this piece you wrote, because you had that line saying, Mills is selling James Dolan on a roster constructed to be highly competitive in the East. And then you had other reporting in the story there saying rival executives and scouts see the roster as unbalanced and, quote, slow of foot. So how does that all jibe together, especially with Mills telling Dolan, hey, this should be a competitive team in the Eastern Conference?
Well, in the end, this is a coach who has 2.5 years left on his contract, and this is what happens when the team is not playing well. You're not going to see Steve Mills here really take much responsibility for the fact that this is, that they've had Mitchell Robinson out, that Frank Ntilikina has trouble keeping, the speed of opponents is tough. You saw it last night with Sexton and Garland. And right now, especially with Kristaps Porzingis coming back Thursday, you know what the Garden could look like, sound like. He comes back, plays well. And that trade that is on Mills and Scott Perry's resume last season and how far it is clear to set them back, you saw this was a precursor last night to getting out in front of it and putting it on the coach. That's where the Knicks are right now, Rach.
Well, is there any sense of how quickly the Knicks would intend to move in this situation?
Well, at 2-8, this is a team that, especially at home, they've gotten blown out twice now at home, Sacramento, Cleveland, and I think the home blowouts, certainly, put some gravity on this. They did just win at Dallas. They played well at Boston, who's been the elite in the East, but those bad home losses certainly have played a factor in the optics of this 2-8 start. And, for David Fizdale to make it beyond this week, he probably needs to not have more of those. But there's no question He is very much on the clock with management, and they are putting this squarely on him. They made that clear last night.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to really express to people who don't do this day to day just how rare a press conference like that was last night from that organization that's been sort of secretive and kept management out of the public eye to do it this early in the season. I think this is absolutely fascinating. And of course, the Knicks beat the Mavericks when they played in Dallas. But as you mentioned, when Kristaps Porzingis comes to town, it's going to be an entirely different story. Woj, I know you're working like 4 other stories right now. So if you get breaking news later, we will be checking back with those reports as well. We really appreciate you taking time out to do this today now.
Thanks, Rach.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For highlights and analysis, check out the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, check out ESPN+.